Hi, it's Mr. Baumgarten back with more for training your virtual pet. Today we are going to look at a different type of loop called a while loop, and more importantly, we're going to detect if we touch the touch screen. We're going to have our screen detect when we press it, and we're going to use that to increase a counter. All right, so last time we were increasing a counter through a for loop, so I'm going to get rid of that, and this time we're just going to have a while true. Well, I'm going to start with while true, and this is kind of like a forever loop. So with our while loops, for as long as whatever calculation or expression I have here results in true, if the calculation matches, then it will keep running the loop. Same as the for loop, I indent if I'm wanting something to happen inside the loop. So I can use my display, and then I can draw some text inside there, and if I just use the midpoint again, so 160 and 120, okay, and I want to show my number, and font colors dot white, colors dot black. I hope you're being more creative with your colors than I am. Now, just to show the while loop equivalent of our for loop, right? It basically looks like that. So while we are looping, show the number, and then once we've shown the number, look up what number was, add 1 to it, save it back into number. All right, so that's the same kind of thing that we had happening last time. So if I click save, click run, we're just going to have a number that just keeps on counting up, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until I hit my stop button to stop my program. So you can see there, we're into the hundreds already quite quickly. I haven't put in a timer, so before we do a timer, let's figure out how we can do touch. So instead of just increasing automatically, I only want it to increase this number when I touch the screen. So how can I incorporate that functionality? So I want this to happen continually, so I'm going to put it inside my loop, because I want it to keep on checking, have I touched the screen? Have I pressed the screen? Have I pressed the screen? Have I pressed the screen? And so this is going to happen inside the loop, and it's an if statement. An if statement is when I am asking Python a question, and the command is screen, right, dot pressed. So if the screen has been pressed, then I want to run this piece of code, and so I indent it again so that it knows which piece of code belongs to the question of the if statement. If it was unindented, then it would just belong to the loop and not part of the if statement. So yes, you're going to be able to see that with Python we can go indented several levels as we keep asking different questions and having different loops running. If I save this, right, I'm now going to have the number 0 on screen, and it's not going to change until I touch the screen. All right, and it keeps on increasing. So I've pressed it once, and it's kick-started it off, and it's just increasing forever and a day. And that's because this command by itself is just asking, have I been pressed, so that I'm telling that I know within Python I can then process that press and deal with it. But I'm not actually processing the press. I need to clear it out of a queue of presses, if you like. And so what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put in another command, screen.getPressed. Now, rather than right, so this actually returns back a couple of values. So let's just print what that will present. The print command will show on my screen here instead of on the display. On the display is whatever I draw text. So if I save this and run this now, device is busy. All right, so if you get this error, device is busy, can't perform this action now. That means your program is still running, right? And as you can see, my counter is still increasing. So I need to stop my program first before it will let me save. So I hit the stop button. Okay, now I can save my code and run it again. All right, and now I've got my 0. I press my screen, and I get a crash because I mistyped it. It's not get pressed, it's just get press. Save, run, and let's try this again. I press my screen and I get a 1, and that is it. But then in my print statement here, I get 114, 123. What do you think they may be? If you guessed that that's the X and Y coordinates of where I touch the screen, you have guessed correctly. If I press on the bottom left corner, you can see I've got a pretty big X number and a pretty big Y corner. If I press at the top left corner, you can see I've got a pretty small X number and a pretty small Y number. And every time I'm pressing, my counter goes on the screen is going up by 1. Alright, so that is a while loop that is detecting that we have touched the screen, and we are increasing a counter, and we're printing out the coordinates of where that press happened on the screen. And in our next video, we'll figure out how to use these coordinates. Okay, this is Mr. Baumgarten signing out.